Okay. So, item 1, apologies. Do you have any apologies for anyone? Okay. Okay, number 2, declarations of interest. Any declaration? No?
Thank you.
Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting, pages 5 to 14. Are there any questions or anything arising from the minutes? Okay, can we accept that they're an accurate record?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, we've got staff attendance and recording system, STARS. Chief?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. The purpose of this report is to request that members approve a contract with Fee Risk for the supply of staff attendance and recording system, STARS. Recommendations specifically that members award the contract for the STARS system to Fee Risk and the open intention to proceed with the development work outlined in the paragraphs 11 through to 18 in relation with the internal application governance development processes that were adopted across the service. And just some basic detail, it is exactly what it says on the tin, the staff attendance and recording system. It equally allows us to record individuals' attendance across all of the duty systems, so some everybody aware sort of with it, a degree of complexity and some of the aspects of that self-managed as well, and delivered through the town resource management function. So it's a very good system that's been developed in the first instance. And what Merseyside Finance Research has done over the course of the application being live within the service is enhance it by working with the providers in the application in the first instance. So it's very much has bespoke functionality to some of the work that we would undertake. And the proposal as detailed with those potential development opportunities in 11 through 18 go on to talk about how we can enhance that further to reflect the changing duty systems and the range of staff arrangements that are going to retain the whole time to LLAR to self-management. And as it says in the section which is detailed under financial implications, it's self-evidently cost of the provision of the application, costs and the financial implications are detailed between paragraphs 26 through to 33, but the total cost based on 3-year contract and plan development equates to 364,000 with an optional extension for the 4th year that will bring the total costs to 484k, again subject to that extension. But that is the total cost of the application and the plan development built in. I'm happy to take any questions, share in any specifics of how it functions, but certainly we will be utilising as per directed the CCSG Cloud 30 framework for us to be able to facilitate this adoption of the STAR system and the recommendations I've described. That's the question, Chair.
Do members have questions? Okay, Councillor Bell, please.
It's just a question regarding finance. Is this built into your financial plan for the year ahead? And is it already costed in? It's not an additional amount of pressure?
No, it's built into the sort of this year's budget and equally it's built into the financial plan moving forward.
Councillor Malone.
Yeah, just to say, I've recently done the scrutiny review on sickness, and with this company that did the work for the agenda, and it was very, very easy reading and understandable agenda. So, I'm not got that in
Yeah, thanks for that. I think what we've had back from the end user really is it's very, very user friendly and very, very functional and effective, and being able to tell you some of the information as well as ensure ourselves that we've got the right people in the right place at the right time. So it works very, very effectively. Hopefully, we might be in service since 2014. But self-evidently, you're given the costs associated with that and the extension and the procurement practice. We back out with go back up to market.
Any other questions?
Are we going to be testing how we could develop this as we go? And what's the bunch plan behind that?
We do that with a lot of the applications actually, so it's not just the STAR system, which you kind of get an off-the-shelf product, and then we work with the developers to make sure that it reflects the nuances that are in effect around duty systems for Merseyside fire rescue service, which are significantly different than other fire rescue services. If you go back to the HMI's findings this time around, some of the notable practice for us was the diverse range of duty systems that we have, which actually met staff's needs more effectively than others and made us effective and efficient in the delivery services to the public. With that comes a degree of complexity for us, and so they are happy to work with us to develop a product that reflects the diverse duty systems that we have in place. And we do that similarly for some of the HR functions, some of the financial functions. We work with the developers to just fine-tune them to better reflect our needs and the needs of the authority, and to finesse them just slightly to function more effectively.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. So, yes and no. Sometimes there is development costs which are built in, and this report itself has factored those things in, and hence it isn't being presented in that way. On occasion, if we want to develop something that hadn't been scoped out in the first stages, then that may well come at a cost. But it depends on the conversations with developers. But again, sometimes they see a benefit of the developments being something that they will use our logic and our intelligence to inform, because then they can go on to sell elsewhere. So if it's mutually beneficial, then sometimes the development cost can be picked up by the developer.
Very good.
Any other questions? Councillor
Just on regards with the security of that system, or protection of the system itself, because we've had some cyber, I'm sure this is a system, because it's not really used, so I'm sure it's interesting, as well,
Yeah, and yes, what I would equally say, part of some other pieces of where Cabinet Office looked at the arrangements that we've got in there, so not just for this application, to be perfectly honest with you, in regards to cyber security in the broader sense, and we got a very glowing report back in respect of the kind of length that we go to ensure that we are protected. Notwithstanding that, we are still incredibly vigilant on that, and security at another point, maybe bring something back which provides that level of reassurance. What I would also say is early indication that the next round of inspections by His Majesty's inspectors will take a focused look on the arrangements that services have got in place around security, particular cyber security, and so it may well be the focal point for the inspectors. But that is probably 2 years or so off from Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service. So what it may be better to do is bring a report back to the authority and put in time to just provide that assurance around cyber security reasons that we've got in place.
On that issue, sometimes we wake up to issues like we did on Monday, Tuesday, and you never know attacks to work, I think. But interestingly, on just as a slight aside, some time ago we asked for a critical issue to be raised, and that was the telecom outage of the 999 system earlier this year. And I read the other day, and we asked for this to be reviewed at the LGA at the highest level, and we did have somebody come in, and we basically said it's subject to a major investigation. I think Ofcom was just fined them, what, 9 million, or maybe 79 million?
I think it's 17.9.
70, I knew it was all 7, I think it was 79. Fine them for unacceptable behaviour with regard to that outage. So that really closes, for all we can do, closes our review both here and at the LGA on that particular issue.
Yeah, and look, and in the arrangements that we have, we have people who try and attack our systems. We pay them to try and attack our systems in the nicest possible way to ensure that they are robust and defend that kind of that level and nature of cyber attack. So we have got robust arrangements in place. However, You're right, the way that technology advances and the kind of the skills of the hacker, we have to be really vigilant and continue to be really vigilant. As I say, Councillor Hamad, I'm more than happy to bring the report back specifically talking about cyber security, then albeit it may have to be restricted given the sensitive nature of that.
Any other questions?
On point 22, the training, so I'm assuming when it was first introduced, there was a level of training that came with it, but the full competency of that level of training can just be delivered in-house, and is that something that then part of anybody that takes up a position to have that training delivered to them? So it's just sort of how that would function.
Yes, and not, and I think that's the benefit of sticking with a system that we've well practiced and seen, and we've started for a number of years, because a lot of the training is done in-house by someone sat next to someone who's familiar with the system. It's not an institutional system where there's training requirements which would be generated from that particular new application being introduced into the service as well. So we've got people who are really familiar with how it works and they disseminate.
And those designated then.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor?
Where it says on the grocery containers, you've got Amazon Web Services. Is that the Amazon? Is it the same?
That is the Amazon.
Because they're such a big company. And they're being opposed to sacrifice themselves.
We'll take the answer.
I think if we, later in the year, rather than having on the agenda because of the sensitivity, maybe we have a learning lunch about the issue of cybersecurity.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem, Chair.
Okay. So in that case, the recommendation is that we award the contract to STARS to Verisk, and that we with the intention to proceed with development work A. Is that agreed? Alright, so item 5 is the revenue and capital outturn report for 2023-24. So Mike, I'd like to take the floor.
Members have received quarterly updates on budget movements and actual performance during the year. The last report covered the period up to the end of December 2023. The purpose of this report is to update members on the revenue, capital and reserve budget adjustments made in the last quarter of 23-24 and the actual outturn position for the year, and then year-end variances. The recommendation is that members note the actual revenue expenditure compared to the approved budget to deliver a net underspend of 3.312 million before the creation of year-end reserves is outlined in Appendix A1, and approve this underspend to be used to create the required year-end reserves for 23-24 into 24-25, and increase the general revenue reserve by 0.7 million, and increase the capital investment reserve by 1.809 million to offset capital cost pressures and reduce planned borrowing to free up revenue budget associated with debt servicing costs. Members can approve the rephrasing of capital spend from 23-24 into future years of 8.619 million as outlined in Appendix B, and approve committed reserves of 12.174 million and a general reserve of 3.7 million as outlined in Appendix A4. The revenue budget movements in quarter 4 are summarised in paragraph 10. The most significant adjustments related to the planned drawdown of 0.581 million from the inflation reserve to cover the increase in premises energy prices. There was a small drawdown from reserves for IT equipment and software. The remaining adjustments reflected some self-balancing refinements and other small adjustments as outlined. The table at the end of paragraph 10 on page 24 confirms the final budget was consistent with the original approved budget of 67.921 million. The revenue outturn position when compared to the final budget is summarised in the table on top of page 25 confirms a year-end revenue underspend of 3.312 million. After taking into account 0.803 million of year-end reserves requested by budget managers needed to cover spend on projects and initiatives that commenced in 23-24 but will not be completed until 24-25. The 23-24 available underspend is 2.509 million. Paragraph 13 on pages 25 to 26 provide members with an explanation of the major revenue variances in 23-24 that resulted in the underspend, and Appendix A1 and A3 provide a detailed analysis of the revenue outturn position. The authority has a strategy of maximising any savings in the year to fund increases in reserves in order to act as a hedge fund against future financial challenges, fund infrastructure investment, or mitigate other potential cost pressures. This report recommends using the 2.509 underspend to increase the general reserve by 0.7 million. As a general rule, external audit view an appropriate level of general revenue reserve 5% of the forecast net operating expenditure, and this will take us up to the 5%. Increase the capital investment reserve by 1.809 million to offset capital cost pressures and reduce future capital borrowing costs. After taking into account these reserve requests, the overall revenue outturn position is consistent with the budget. In relation to capital, the 23-24 capital budget outturn position is outlined from paragraph 15 to paragraph 21. In quarter 4, the 23-24 capital programme budget increased by 0.331 million. However, the overall 5-year capital budget only increased by 0.089 million. Paragraph 16 on page 27 outlines the capital budget amendments made in quarter 4. The capital outturn position is outlined in paragraphs 18 to 21 and summarised on the table on page 28. Actual spend at the end of 23-24 was 8.711 million below budget. Of this, 8.619 million has now been rephased into 24-25, and paragraph 20 provides an explanation of this rephasing and the small saving of 0.092 million on various 23-24 schemes was identified at year end. Appendix B provides a detailed analysis of the capital outturn position. In relation to reserves, paragraphs 22 to 31 outline the available reserves in the year and the movement in quarter 4 and the proposed year-end adjustments. Before taking into account any year-end reserve adjustments, committed reserves reduced by 0.018 million in the last quarter to 9.562 million. Paragraph 10 of this report outlines the quarter 4 reserve movements. As already mentioned, at year-end, officers review the year-end revenue position statement and request year-end reserve to carry forward funds to meet spend now expected in 24-25 or future years. Paragraph 26 outlines the spend of 0.803 million of year-end reserve requests by officers. The report proposes using the 2.509 revenue underspend to increase the general revenue reserve and capital investment reserve as outlined in paragraph 27. And after taking these adjustments into account, the level of committed reserves reduced by 7.615 million in the year from 19.789 to 12.174 million. The table on page 32 and appendix A4 summarise the movement on committed reserves opening and closing balances in the year. And members are asked to note the actual revenue spend compared to the approved budget delivered a net underspend of 3.312 million before the creation of year-end reserves as outlined in appendix A1, and approve that this underspend be used as per the recommendation. I'll be taking questions, Chair.
Councillor Mann.
Yes, thank you. You might, members, say it's a very short agenda while we're having a meeting. But of course, we don't have that many meetings, and each of the 3 main committees are competent to deal with anything. So it's possible that something of an urgent nature will come. So we try not to cancel our main fixed meetings. In this case, you'd say also, how come is it that you've underspent on your budget? Should we not be spending right up to the last penny? Well, members have been around a while know we get no capital. So our revenue and other sources of income also have to provide for our capital spending. We just spent 42 million on the TBA. Some of that's prudential borrowing, some from capital, some will sell things off. The usual way that you have to move things around. But we lobbied at the LGA. We started that lobbying process with the new government to say, could we have a capital grant? Nothing's a free hit. We're not going to get it. But we started to lobby to say every other element of proper local government gets a capital grant. Could we not have some capital provision? And also, we looked at the issue of business rates and new housing grant and a variety of other forms of income that could come to us, which I think under the new government are likely to be part of the architecture of change of local government finance. We don't know where we'll be with that, but certainly the starting position in lobbying is to say, can we have some capital? You'll see what we've had to do is slight underspend on our normal lines, put that money into reserve. Some of it's been spent, moved down from 19 million to 12 million. We've carried that level of about 19 million for a long time. And the minister used to say, for pay rises, spend your capital. To which we said, Minister, you can't spend capital for revenue. They know that. It's just semantics. We're in a period of transition, I would say, until we find out. But financially, it looks like we're in a reasonably healthy position. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Lloyd.
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. I'm looking on Appendix B under capital receipts, picking up on what the judge has said. Have we actually sold the TDA and Croxton Fire Station? And is that for £2 million?
Not, hasn't been sold at the moment. We have received bids for the sale of the.
Is that what we're asking for?
That was what the actually originally put in the budget. That would be the ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was yes.
Okay. And then just around the group, and just a little bit below that capital reserve, it says TDA refurb, and there's a line there of amounts, large amounts of money. That's not refurb, is it? Surely that's getting it out to start with.
There will be costs that are attached to that, for instance, the refurb of the TDA as it is, so the old one, not the new one. And the reason behind that is dependent on the sale of
I
that.
don't mean that amount, Phil. I'm looking here.
Yes.
We're
So
looking
yeah,
at millions.
that's the build cost. The build cost, because originally
Taken in the first
it's
instance as
second
opposed to.
C job title.
Yeah.
Because originally, if you remember, we were going out for a refurb of the TDA.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did see that other amount, and it was only small, wasn't it? It was like 35,000.
Yeah, and looking at that, that's what I thought you were referring to, because there's still got North West Ambulance and the sewer on that.
Well, yeah,
And there's
that's
still
why I
some,
was surprised when I thought so.
yeah, there's still some security arrangements that we need to put in place, you know, to make sure that the site is protected, because it's still in our ownership at the moment in time. So to some degree, the sooner we are able to move the site on, the better, because it's the best unnecessary costs to the community.
Thank you.
Is this the final cost?
No, so the final accounts have already gone to order. So this is the actual outturn report for the year end, which will be very similar to the final accounts.
Just in case there's any variation between now
At this moment, this matches the final accounts.
and then. With regard to the council collection, how will we obviously all districts being house building program, obviously something more in the future.
In terms of the budget for this year, we actually have a small increase. So the overall fund is at 0.05%, which is what we actually budgeted for in the budget. Previous years they had been a lot higher, but this year the actual election fund was 0.05% increase.
The rule was saying that
Yes, so really good. Look, we've got working with finance, working with legal, and very little debt is written off. We find there's two actual debt within this actual report. One is for a special service call, which was written off due to an individual who actually needed access to the premises for rent medication. And the other one was no payment of a pension due to the death of the pension. And we've gone through the legal process and we've made the decision that not to pursue them debts. So 2 months, I think we looking very important to talk about now.
Any other questions?
Thank you. It's just whether there were, on going through the figures, is there anything that kind of surprised you? Is there anything that maybe, it's just sort of like, is there anything there that kind of is different to other years, or that you notice any trends, or anything that,
I think the income was slightly higher than what we forecast, but that was due to the additional work that we got from seconded people. Obviously, we've got someone who's seconded to another fire and rescue service during the year, and seconded someone to the during the year. The likes of that, which wasn't forecast, a lot of the other stuff we were aware that it was coming in.
so there was not expected, and then we can see, you know, most of it's in a very, yes, of the time. Did it come down? Good, good.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, in that case, recommendations are recommendation A, B, C, and D on page 21. Do you agree with those recommendations? Okay, thank you. Okay, in that case, that brings us to the end of the meeting, so the next meeting is 5th of December.
Just before we move away, just an advert for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is morning, Liverpool Pride, and then running all through